Shalom, salama, siemi, shalom, peace and blessings. My Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world, whether you are of the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or you are grafted in under the blood of Yeshua HaMashiach, the blood of Jesus. And just because you have the bloodline doesn't mean that you have salvation. Now, don't get me mistaken. I believe that in this captivity, we'll be able to all leave up on out of here in this captivity, but it don't mean that you have a ticket to heaven. So let's get that clear, because a lot of folks they like to kind of get their wires crossed within our community, and that's just a natural byproduct of when you have had things occurring and happening for the last 400 years. All right, so family, just bear with me. I'm going to let you all come on in here because this was kind of an impromptu broadcast, because honestly, I was just thinking I was just going to enjoy my day today, just laying low. A couple shows I wanted to watch. Because and this was kind of the start of my day, and before I start, I'm gonna go ahead and shout out the folks that are here. 19 members on in here. Again, please like, share, and subscribe, and give folks a minute to get on in here. I'm not going to be on here very long. I wanted to just do this little quick thought. I'm not going to say a teaching, but quick thought. So Gumbo, Shalom, Ruhama, Shalom, Kenneth Wilkerson, Salama, J High Style, Salama, Dwayne, Yaounde, Shalom, Candace Love, Shalom, and Mr. The Original School, Shalom. So it's kind of interesting because I don't think that YouTube has really understood that this channel is or they have understood that this channel is growing at a tremendous rate. And, I see from a couple of the posts, the community articulates a lot of what we see with, Professor Black Truth, TBA, the Black Authority, Tariq Nasheed, a lot of our folks that are in here in the community that's the mainstream circuit. So shalom, brother G. Gabriel Aluya, Shauna Swainson, Susan Gibney, Stacy Sharp, Nateka Betyahu. Man, that always messes me up. Mama said I didn't read them syllables too good. Anything over 3 syllables, man, I'm in trouble. Oh man, it's like you have to prep yourself. All right. Characteristic. Because we would be saying characteristic. Like what? Characteristic. Huh? Listen, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I had speech class when I was in 1st grade. Clear to about 4th or 5th grade, I had speech class. I think every Black person done had speech class. Every black person had some sort of a cognitive deficiency or a mental health issue, because that's how we were bred, and that's how we came on up. So Stacey Sharp. Okay, let me start. Abba Ya's daughter, Yarek Meal, Ninja Firewolf, Soulfully Sowing Seeds. Yeah, and it's funny because we kind of laugh out loud, and then you laugh at that, and it's like, well, um, we've all been through there, because you have to remember that's what we were conditioned in. Yeah, I'm still in speech class. Look, I'm still in speech class. Y'all have me in speech class every single time I'm on a live trying to do a greeting. Da weedy yada yada ya 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 ya. You're lucky that YouTube cuts characters off at like 140 like Twitter, because y'all will have some titles. Dawiya, son of Yahuda, Banayua, Bandua, Bantu Dayua. The titles will just get ridiculously long. You know that too. Yeah, tongues. We'll be speaking in tongue twisters. Ya, fo fa, banana, nana, fo ma. Look, I don't even want to give y'all any ideas, because some people be real ignorant about that. Talk about Return of the Mac, they'll be like Return of the Ya. People be going old school with it. Daddy, I will make you jump, jump. Hey ya. Instead of Chris Carson, be saying, hey ya. Jump, jump. They'll be doing all sorts of crazy remix. You know how our people do it. You do. Y'all remix everything. The moment y'all start remixing R. Kelly, y'all just need to pray for yourselves, because y'all done made it to the dark side. That's all I gotta say. Try to do a y'all song or any type of R. Kelly song. You know you going to hell. And I can even get UA to attest to that one. Oh. So it's funny, because when I come on in here, really, I just kind of sit back and relax. I was kind of going through some things this weekend. Not too terrible. It's just that we're all seeing a lot of things happening. And the thing is I want to bring this on up, because I'll get people notifying me on Hebrew Sphere and things of that nature. And I had a comment. I'm not going to put the person's name on blast like that, because Hebrew Sphere, I believe, is that's our internal thing. So I don't like to just push that on out there. We saw, and I think the story is still ongoing, because the rocket had attacked. They had a rocket attack in Iraq against the U.S. Embassy, and I don't really think that that's really that big of a deal, to be quite honest, because really America's kind of chasing its tail in terms of how they're trying to do things. They're saying that they are trying to near a deal. Here's a problem, folks. I tell you this. I don't think America has any money to do any type of budgets or budgeting. And you have to remember, the only country in the world that was not hit with any type of like some sort of austerity or budget tightening was the United States, because we had literally printed out like an extra $5 to $6 trillion, and that's going to also inflate up to around 10 to 15 trillion. So what do you think those countries in the world are looking at? especially if you're looking at debt. I mean, let's just think about that. I'm not a fiscal person in terms of having like any type of financial licenses and series, like a 7, a 63, all those things that would be considered a licensed professional of bonds. But I'm going to tell you this: look, if you have a note, right, and your note says, look, you are going to have, this particular stock and this particular yield, right? You're supposed to get $100. Okay, cool. That's awesome. I'm going to have $100 because I paid $10 worth, right? For this bond. When it matures, it's going to be $100. But just think about where we're going at. What happens when that $100 is only worth $1? Because why? Because you done sold out on your bonds, that everything for that valuation that has occurred is literally just sinking the dollar. Remember, $5, you literally could still buy a McDonald's value meal. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you would be able to buy a McDonald's value meal and like an apple pie or whatever dessert. So that's all the things that we would see. But you had to understand, see, they were promising you in a present value of $10. That future value is literally worse. So now think about this. If I'm a country, let's just reasonably think about this. If I'm a country and I said, look, I done spent $1 billion, but it looks like my return and my asset, my valuation is only going to be like $1 million. Something's wrong here. Here's the thing. How do you stop that money from reaching a low, from being cut down? How are you ever going to get that money again? Yeah, gas used to be 89 cents. Now you understand the real value of gas is still only about like $1.40, $1.50. Because think about the folks that aren't working, and then think about the supply and demand. There's folks that are still not doing anything up in New York, up in the Northeast, in California, in Washington, or all these places you have literally been shut down in terms of the amount of commuters that's on the roads. So there, if you can try to keep things artificial, but see, even having those conditions of artificiality, they can only last so long. I had already kind of stated this. I said, America, if it continues this way, especially with the coronavirus, it wasn't going to last until this next year. And I said, because here's the thing, all these continuing resolutions we're doing was, the more that you borrow money, you're not just borrowing it against the Federal Reserve for the people. You're borrowing monies on the notions that the other nations will somehow get paid back. An actual positive value that was supposed to be indicative of the valuation that it was sold to them. Because you don't ever do an investment in terms of bonds, especially government bonds, if your present value is going to be less when those bonds mature. That's dumb. So this is where we're at. We've already kind of stated it, but you have to understand. See, in this society, being blind is actually being willful to the ignorance. And yeah, you're right. You're right, Dwayne Yaounde. Yeah, all these nations are being driven to China because China's growing. China's growing, and they already know that China has a fiscal or a lock on a lot of the commercial enterprises. And what happened? Listen, a lot of the jobs that we used to have here in the United States moved over to China. This is kind of what I mentioned the last time. So I like to kind of crack jokes about our education because honestly, it's only by the grace of the Most High that I was able to have the level of education that I have. And I don't really say the level of education. I say it like this: I have the level of indoctrination that I can, spit on out. But you have to understand, sometimes all the stuff that you take on in, when it starts to get processed spiritually, you kind of start to understand that when your eyes are getting all the things of the world sent through, the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh sensor starts moving and it starts working, and then you start processing things in a spiritual format. And then when you start processing things in a spiritual format, more things that you didn't really see before, they start to pop out. It's like seeing the dots on the little 3D books. I was a 90s kid. Early 90s, I was probably about fourth or fifth grade. They would always have, the 3D books. And look, the picture will just jump on out if you cross your eyes, for like 30 seconds. And then like you're cockeyed because, you're looking like Debo after you're trying to find the image because you just been planted on the image. For me, that never worked. I'm sorry, it never worked. I never saw any of the images. But that was the sell. Hey, if you look hard enough, you're going to see the image. Well, here's the thing. Now, miraculously, the Most High has actually spoken to us, and he's showing us these things that aren't out there. So shalom, family. You all just getting on in here. I appreciate you coming on in here. Please hit the thumbs up button, like this, and also share. I see some folks going. Miss B, Donna W, Sis Shebrew, Divine Righteousness, Tamika Godwin, and Aerospike 000, and Abiyah's daughter, Shalom. So going back to what I was saying about our educational system. Look, our educational system, when they always say, look, we're going to teach you to the standard is I'm going to teach you to what I want you to understand without you going too deep. Because when you go too deep and you start to analyze things too deeply, then you start being called what, crazy, or what, nonsense. And yes, Ruhama. Somebody talk black to me. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Let me not even say that. I'll probably get a YouTube strike. Your video was flagged because you had made a couple of references, comments. Listen, I got to be careful about mentioning R. Kelly. Shoot, the mere fact of mentioning R. Kelly he's gonna be like, I need to take a royalty. I'm not sitting up here in Cook County without no type of royalty check. You know what I'm saying? These folks done got me hemmed up. Matter of fact, I'm not making no promises, but I may try to have R. Kelly on here. Hey, R. Kelly, I got $5 for you. $5 for an hour of your time. We're gonna talk about everything. Oh man, let me stop playing. Let me stop playing. Let me get back on focus. Father, help me to not be so foolish. Hallelujah. Oh man. How did they when you first woke up to being a Hebrew Israelite, Mr. R. Kelly, when you first woke up, what did, what were you thinking? Well, I was stepping in the name of love, but when I first woke up, I said, how you doing, Mr. Biggs? What the heck is going on? Y'all is telling me that there's something with this music industry. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm about to lose subscribers now. Man, brother Cash, why you saying that? Because it's true. Everybody gets led down a path of blindness. This is just how it goes. Look, I'm going to show you this, but the reality it's going to cost you that. Oh yeah. Shout on out to our brother. What is it? Ron Isley. Yep. Yeah, he was hemmed up in jail for tax evasion because they sell you something. They sell you this dream, this vision, and it's not necessarily reality. And so the funny thing is, as I was getting ready to, so I was just hanging on out. Sometimes, especially these live chats, when I have a word that's usually earlier in the day, the Most High will give me a word, and I kind of formulate those things together, and I won't come on a live. I like, honestly, I like to do this. Well, I like to do a live, or not, excuse me. I like to do a video because when I get into the live, I do get very lively, and I don't want that to distract from what the Most High is really putting on people. But if you notice this, listen, this is how the Most High is delivering stuff. If you actually understood this, and you actually understood, and you read the word, the Most High actually like to joke with people. The Most High actually had a sense of humor, believe it or not. You see plenty of scriptures, it's like, okay. And you actually think about it, it's like, oh man, that's kind of funny. The way that the Most High would deal with the enemies, if you looked at it and you really stepped away and you paid attention instead of thinking, oh, this is the most holy and this and that, and you would kind of laugh like, man, that's funny. That's funny. He turned Gehazi from a black person to a white person. And Gehazi ran. He was mad. He ran away. He was probably looking at Elijah like, for real, Elijah? For real? You know I can't make it in this, son. Come on, man. Elijah said, you should be all right. Take all the gold and everything that you got from the one Aramean guy. You're good. Since you wanted that money so well, how's that money going to treat you in this hot behind desert? You should have listened to God. You should have listened to the Most High. Man, Everybody thinks like the Most High doesn't joke. If you think that Christ got here and he wasn't cracking jokes, you're sorely mistaken. Who wants to be around somebody who's just always serious? Thus saith the Lord, I'm coming down because if you don't listen to me, y'all all going to hell. You going to hell. You going to hell. You going to hell. Hades, Firestone, Brimstone. Man, that was just probably for the few occasions. But if you didn't actually see, Jesus liked to actually come together with his people. They were singing. This is what he was saying. He said, look, I sang you a dirge, but you didn't sing. They were dancing. They were singing. They were actually doing what black folks do. Okay, times is tough, Israel. What are we going to do? You know what? Yeah, hop on over here. We're going to put some things together. My man's going to catch some fish. We're going to make it all right. He's going to grill up a few things, and we're going to spread the love. Everybody sit on down, sit on down. Oh, please forgive me on this one. Please forgive me on this one. Please forgive me on this one. But you know, all the Hebrew women them dug in their purse and they're like, all right, child, let me find this little tissue or napkin. And they got the little napkins on out because every black woman got some sort of tissue or napkin up in their purse. Am I lying? Am I lying? Here you go, sweetie. Here. I got me like a big old pack of Downy napkins. How you get some Downy napkins up in here? You know how we be. Here, spread it on out. Oh, we have it. Napkins, paper towel rolls, Kleenexes. Y'all carry a whole bag of toiletries in them purses. Got Band-Aids on in there. Yep. The purse doubles for a first aid kit. Oh, I got alcohol swabs in here too. Yeah, and the hand sanitizer. That's a must now. Now with that, now y'all have gloves and masks. Be pulling out those COVID face shields. I put my face shield right next to my Palmer's cocoa butter. I am not going to die ashy. That's a shame before God. I'm saying that because my grandmother used to say that. Oh, that is a shame before God. Oh, man. But, you know, it's one of those things that we kind of look at those scriptures, and those scriptures would get a little distorted from us because the spin would always be on that Eurocentric spin. And we were kind of like, okay, honestly, who will hang out with Jesus? Who will really hang out with Jesus? Oh, man, look, I see him. He's healing a few things, but man, I don't really want to talk to him. This dude's talking about this. This dude's talking about that. No, this he was cracking jokes. He was talking to him just as you and I will talk to each other. Yeah, we can't send these people away. Y'all feed them. What? Man, y'all can do it. Get out of here. Stop tripping. Come on. You don't see me. You don't think that we can do it? Lord, okay. All right, man. This dude's going crazy. All right, here we go. How do we don't feed all these people with this little bit of stuff? How did this man How this man done have all this wine out of one little pitcher? And then you know what Jesus did? Yeah, I don't think y'all saw this in the story. I'm gonna have this has been purported. I don't have historical um, uh, um, information on this, but I believe that as soon as Jesus had poured that wine and Mary was like, how come we, or Mary's guest, the person that went to Jesus said, how do we get this good wine here? Jesus had himself a cup in his hand and he said, listen, I'm about that life. Take that sip of wine. And then he gave him that Billy D stance. Mm-mm-mm. The wine is so good. Yeah, man. Shout out to Billy D and because back in the 80s, he made drinking a Colt 45 look cool. I don't know. I was like 9 years old, and I was like, I think I may have asked my uncle or my grandmother's like, can we drink Colt 45s too? They looked at me like, no, boy, that's beer, that's alcohol. But you saw Billy D. Williams? He had the little monotone voice like this. That Colt 45. And that thing sung to black people. It was like he taught black people were looking at him like he was Michael Jackson. And it's funny because even Undercover Brother did the parody of Billy D. Williams and the General's Chicken. Because it's true. If you want to sell something here in mass quantities, you get a black person. Be trying to sell insurance. Allstate. It's yeah. So Quentin Boswell. So what I'm talking about is that, let me get on task. I appreciate you all for bearing with me because I'm getting on task here. So what I'm talking about is that when we look at things in terms of how they want to present that information to us, it's always some sort of distortion to it. They know how we look. They know how we see. They know how we understand, but there's a distortion to it. So this is what I was led to. Hebrews 13:8. Reading out of King James, it says, Jesus Christ, the same yesterday and today and forever. And that really struck a hold of me, because if we looked at this, and this is where I wanted to get to, because I'm not going to be very long in this. I'm not going to be long-winded on this. But I looked at this because I was curious. Because today, as my oldest son is on over, I was explaining to him. I said, look, Matt. I said, I'm getting ready to watch this show. It's called Spanish Princess, or The Spanish Princess. It's a show on Stars. It is, and it was going over some historical events occurring back in the early 15th century. Oh, excuse me. And so as I was looking at it, I said, okay, let me kind of see what type of historical accuracies and inaccurate information was presented. And so when you were looking at it, you actually saw all the stuff that was there presented by Brother Benayah Israel. And Benayah laid it on out that we were used as advisors. We were used in a setting of how to manage the state affairs, which is really what we have today. However, our capacity was always limited because they never wanted us to be in that type of, oh, excuse me. They never wanted us to be obviously the head. And so as we were precipitously falling from the head status to the tail status, this is where we were at right before the Inquisition. And so as things were going on, it was talking about the alliance that was made between Spain and England, because this was right at the Spanish Armada. And the Spanish Armada had basically been destroyed a couple of years earlier because they didn't account for the bad weather when the Spanish were trying to invade England. So this builds on the cusp, because as all this is going on, there's an Inquisition happening. And so the funny thing is in the show, they will give you some tidbits of, yeah, it was the Moors, but then, they would kind of hide and be sly with a couple things of, well, the Moors, they would have the Ethiopian, the Jews, all these different things. And you could tell there's something that's not quite right, because what they're saying doesn't really align to history. And so the funny thing is, as I was kind of going through a few of the episodes, at the beginning and at the end, it was giving that disclaimer. And that disclaimer was, some of these historical information has been altered. And then you always have to wonder, well, if they're disclosing it in this TV series, what have they done throughout? See, remember, Black folks, when we really started asking these questions, it was around 2014, 15, 16, that mid-decade, about the 15, 16, from 14 to 16 era, when we started really questioning things, but we weren't really fully awakened to what was happening. And so this show was made around 2018, 2019, when a lot of the stuff was happening. And guess what goes on? See, our community, even though we are kind of insulated, and we're not really that insulated to say, oh man, we just, it's a certain amount of people. No, because listen, like I told you, there's no barriers to entry on this. I really just started this in earnest back in July. I had a few things in like May timeframe, one or two videos, but actually I don't even think I started posting anything until about July. July I had like one or two people, and then it just started blowing up. And if you have videos, if you have something, let me know, because I'll go ahead and get your stuff sponsored. I always like to post things on my community post. But that's what we do. We have to continue to fuel each other and further each other. And that's the support. A lot of the support, you don't even have to support me financially. Just go ahead and share. That's it. Now, if I was part of the Hebrew Israel arm of Creflo Dollar Ministries, he would kick me on out. Brother Karras, didn't we have this agreement with Covenant Awakenings? If you come up here to Atlanta and you think that you're gonna get in my Gulf Stream after that shenanigan, you better talk to Kenneth Copeland because I ain't dealing with it. I ain't. And so I had to think about this. Listen, remember, our stuff is always altered, quote unquote, altered. But you want to know why it's always altered? Because they want you to be blinded enough. Listen, family, you can still have optical sensory. But if you don't know what you're looking at, you're blinded. Think about this. You know, how many times when we were kids, when we were growing up, our parents would say, hey, I need you to get, the remote. And the remote could be sitting on the table. Only remote on the table. And because your mind wouldn't necessarily register what the remote was, because you're still growing, you would look at all these places, the sofa, the end table, the dining room table, the chairs. But your mind wouldn't necessarily see that it's the coffee table that's where it's generally at and generally put into use. But I'm looking at all these places because my mind didn't quite associate things. And it's not to say that we're just being dumb or, people say, well, you have brain farts. We'll call them brain farts. But oftentimes as we're going on up, that's what we kind of do. And then we're like, oh, I should have known better. Oops, my bad. I kind of had a brain fart. But I'm going to tell you this, that time frame of where you had that brain fart or you had that lack of cognitive ability, that is literally a blinding. See, we like to think that you have to be blind, which means that you're like an abject blindness, where you are not seeing anything, where you are looking at those commercials that have the little 24-hour pill, because the blind folks will say, well, I'm in complete blindness, so I need to have the pill to kind of keep me on schedule, to keep me on a daylight schedule. Because we know that our bodies can generally work for about 16 hours a day before we start getting tired and we go to bed to get rest. And so what really kind of brought this scripture to mind was, look, if Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever, if Yeshua HaMashiach is the same yesterday, today, and forever, then why is not our history the same? Why is not our lineage the same? And so I have to kind of look at that because see, remember, see, we look at it like this. Well, they'll say, because I'm always going to give the counter argument, they'll say, well, you want to know what? It's because we were doing wickedness. So therefore we had to be blinded and in a hole. But I'm going to tell you this, no matter what type of infirmity or malady that was brought upon us, no other nation was able to have their identity taken away. Only us. And so this I want to show you this because this is how the Most High responds to the nations. This is Genesis 11, verse 1. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Let us build us a name because, they're looking in this in the prophetic. Because if we don't have a name, then guess what? We'll be just like the children of Israel. They're actually talking in the prophetic here. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men built or builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and therefore confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. So they said, forget the city. But I want to show you this because I want you to understand what was happening, the context of this. See, we have to start understanding scripture in the scriptural context. Here's what the Most High doesn't do that he has done to us. The Most High does not take away from their nation, their people groups, their identity. He may take away their speech, but they all knew who their parents were. They knew who they came from. They said, okay, let me go back to my house. Let me go back to my mom. Let me go back to my dad. Let me go with my auntie and them. Let me go with my uncle and them. And then it stops. Oh, I don't understand my cousin such and such. It's too far away. So even though they would cut off the language, they still understood their relationship to one another. They still understood who they were. See, even though their language was altered, their history was not. See, this is where we are at in this time frame. We're seeing that everything that they tried to alter has been exposed. And so really, I just wanted to bring you on in here. I wasn't going to take more than an hour. And I actually didn't even want to go an hour, but I wanted to relay those scriptures to you because I want you to start getting that spiritual understanding and seeing things in that spiritual lens. Because here's the thing, we're going to be watching TV, we're going to be reading, we're going to be looking at stuff other than scriptures, but let's try to strive to see what it's saying in the spiritual. Sometimes a lot of things are shown to you and you're just sort of like, okay, all right, no problem. Because it's just like the whole Jedi thing and Yehudi. Some folks have been watching Star Wars for almost 40 years and they finally got it. It was finally mind blowing, earth shattering that it was literally a play on words talking about us. But see, when we are living by the Spirit, we will start to interact in the course of our livelihoods, our normal livelihoods, and we'll start seeing, oh, I see that. Oh, I understand that. Oh, that's a lie. Oh, yeah, that's been exposed. Because now we're starting to train our bodies. Actually, we're training our spirit. We're training our spiritual eyes and we're training our spiritual minds to understand what this world has done. And yeah, you're right. Because we are the only people in the world that don't know who we really are, it's easy for us to be taken advantage of. If you looked at the thumbnails and things of that nature, look, I do those thumbnails for a purpose because we're looking at things blindly. We're seeing things, but we're not perceiving it. We're hearing things, but we don't understand what we're hearing. These are what we were cursed to do because we were obstinate, we were hard-headed. And so now we're trying to change the course of our behavior. And I'm telling you, when we do that, the spiritual principalities, they actually tremble. And then you get all these stories of, well, Alaska's been having 30,000 earthquakes since like November. Nevada was having all these earthquake swarms. All these diverse places were having tons of earthquakes. All these places were having rain that was on an unprecedented scale. And now here you are with a cyber attack on an unprecedented scale. You just understand, and we're seeing in our spiritual eyes how the Most High is moving. Because see, look, for a long time, we have been dependent on what they say and what they report and how they report things. Do you think that our enemy actually wants to tell you what's happening? Oh, yep. Hey, guess what? Since you're all God's people, go ahead and get ready. He's going to be here in a few days. What? They would never say that. Look, if the Most High were to show up tomorrow, they would never say that. If it was, look, y'all have to, the flyers are going to go on out. Y'all need to start getting ready. No. For what? They wouldn't. But see, for us, we always were charged to be spiritually ready. And how are you spiritually ready? You have to be able to understand what the world is looking like. So, family, I thank you for your time coming on in here. Yeah, it was another short notice, little teaching. And I pray that it edifies you because listen, we see these things occurring, and sometimes when they try to hide something from you, it's blatantly obvious. It's in your face. Think about this. We don't have any type of schools or education systems or higher education systems that would address this. So, do you understand? We are learning this thing on our own. We're dealing with this thing on our own. We're moving on our own. But we're not alone in this because the Most High is and has always been with us. Hallelujah. So, family, again, if you like the content provided from Covenant Awakenings, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Also, you can visit us at covenantawakenings.com. You can support us via Patreon, CashApp. We're on Hebrew Sphere. I like to talk to people on Hebrew Sphere. On Facebook, I'm not going to talk to you that much on Facebook because I'm supporting Hebrew Sphere. That's our site. It's meant for us. We can do all the same functionalities. So shout out to Minister Dante Fortson for that. We also have HebrewConnect.tv. I'm slow to get on over there, but that's my plan. I want to see what type of functionalities are going to happen because I like to do things where things are simulcasted, or if it's on one platform and it connects, it just makes my life a whole lot easier. Now that I'm a content creator. And so, family, with that said, I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I definitely appreciate you all coming on out and spending a little bit of time with me. But I also thank you because I believe that the Holy Spirit is the Ruach HaKodesh. He's going to show you some things. I want you to be uncomfortable when you're looking at the TV and you'll be like, what? Oh, man. Oh, I see that. Because once you start seeing the narrative, you'll never watch TV the same. It's just like reading the word. When you read the Bible now, you can't. It's not going to be the same because you know who you are. And when you know who you are, look, everything that used to look crazy and incomplete, all those building blocks started to fall into place to where you can now see the real picture. So with that said, family, Shalom, Salama, Siemi, Shalom. Peace and blessings, Israel.